welcome back to another video on Pocket Incoming. As you can probably see from the thumbnail itself, that the topic of today's video is Indigo Battle Conference. In this particular game mode, there's two ways to play, the offline mode and the online mode. I'll explain both of these simultaneously as I go through the various stages of the battles. The first is setting up of the teams for Indigo, but before we go into that, it's important to know why we care about Indigo Battle. The reason is the rewards. If you go into ranking awards and then click on rewards, you can see that you get very valuable Ho-Oh shards and Unishards. And I'm pretty sure that Indigo is the only way that you can obtain Ho-Oh. I think the other thing is getting it from the combat power ranking during the start of the server. Now let's get back to setting up our teams for Indigo Plateau. For the offline mode, you want every third Pokemon to be your strong Pokemon, while you want the last Pokemon to be as weak as possible. This is because when you qualify for the semifinals and the quarterfinals, it groups your Pokemon in groups of 3, and you need a carry Pokemon for your quarterfinal as well as for your semifinal, and then after that it doesn't matter, and I'll explain why. And finally, the last Pokemon is selected as your spare Pokemon, which kind of sits on the bench. If, however, you're online for Indigo, what you can do is you can just change your Pokemon at the last second, which I'll show you how to do, and you can win almost all of your battles if you are strong enough. Now there's a preparing for battle phase, which will come up shortly, and as soon as that phase is about to hit like 10 or 8 seconds, you can change your Pokemon before your enemy has a chance to change their Pokemon, like this. And that's basically how you win all of your battles in the online mode. Now if you look here, we have qualified for the quarterfinals, and I don't think I can beat his team with the Pokemon that I have for the first 3 rounds. So what I'll do is I'll simply check what Pokemon he has, and he has a Greninja, which is a 200k CP. So I'll just put my Shiny Mega Gardevoir in the quarterfinals so that it can win. Now imagine that you were offline. You wouldn't be able to do this because your first 3 Pokemon were very weak. So what you would need to do is already set up Gardevoir from the beginning in position 3 so that it gets selected for quarterfinals and it can beat the enemy in the quarterfinals. You can also see that Diancie, which was my last Pokemon in the battle, is now my spare. So if you're offline, you'll have to make sure that your last Pokemon is weak or comparatively weaker so that your strong Pokemon can carry you during the knockout rounds. Now something to keep in mind here as well is if your enemy in quarterfinal is online, then you can have to change your Pokemon at the last second, like I did in the first round of this video, so that your enemy doesn't get a chance to counter with their strong Pokemon in the quarterfinals. Now, as the rest of the Indigo battle plays out, I'll give you a short gist as to how you should set up your teams for Indigo. So if you're offline, every third Pokemon needs to be a strong Pokemon, a Pokemon that can carry you in your quarterfinals, your semifinals, and the finals are not that important. However, if you're online, you can set your teams in any order, preferably from weakest to strongest. But remember, when the preparing for battle phase is about to end, that is, it is present at like 10 seconds or 8 seconds, switch your Pokemon so that you can beat your enemy Pokemon before your enemy switches their Pokemon. Now, I kept saying that the finals aren't that important because if you look at the resources that you get from winning or coming in second, the differences are very minimal. You don't get extra shards or extra Ho-Oh shards. You get like 1 extra Indigo box and some inscription materials, and that's it. So in my opinion, it's far more useful to secure your win in the quarterfinal and the semifinal rather than trying to risk those in chances of trying to win the Indigo. And with that, thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you need guides on other game modes as well. and I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.